Hi, gratitude seekers, and welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. Today, I have a wonderful guest for you. Her name is Kate Erickson. She's an entrepreneur who is running a multi-million-dollar online business called Entrepreneur on Fire with her husband, John Lee Dumas. She also leads the most amazing community of podcasters, which I'm as well a part of, which is called Podcasters Paradise. But the reason why I chose to invite her on the Gratitude Podcast is the fact that I really appreciate her for how grateful she is for doing the work that she is doing, for every client and even for prospective clients that she interacts with. I can feel that Kate and her husband, John Lee Dumas, really care about people, and they're living their life's purpose, and they really want to inspire. Welcome, Kate. Is there
Georgie,
anything you would like to add?
that was amazing. Thank you so much. It's a very kind introduction. I very much appreciate it. And you have just this soothing way about you. I feel so great right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Our time is a bit short, so we'll get into it right now. All right. So the first thing that I'm really curious how you view is, how do you view gratitude? What does gratitude mean for you?
For me, gratitude is remembering all that we have versus thinking about the things that maybe we don't have. And I think that's a very important distinction.
Yeah, this is wonderful. And it's indeed that way. For instance, today, when I was eating, I actually had to wait a bit for my girlfriend to start eating as well, and I had a few moments in which I could appreciate the food that was on the table, and it was amazing. It's not like we had something really different from what we have all the time, but just taking that second to appreciate is wonderful.
It can be very powerful, right? And then it influences your emotions and how you're feeling for the rest of that time.
Exactly. Yeah. So, do you have some words of wisdom that you love about gratitude? A quote?
Yes, I do. So this is a quote from Zig Ziglar. I'm going to read it because I don't want to mess it up at all. Zig Ziglar
Yeah.
says such beautiful things. But he says, gratitude is the healthiest of all human emotions. The more you express gratitude for what you have, the more likely you will have even more to express gratitude for. And I thought that was just like so beautifully said, because it's easy when we're able to recognize when we're not being grateful, that leaks into every other area of our lives. And so I just love that he says the more likely you will have even more to express gratitude for, because it's so true. It is almost like a snowball effect when you start practicing these sorts of things.
Exactly. It's my experience as well, and I saw the spark of gratitude in you, and the fact that you, like I said, you appreciate every client interaction, and the fact that I can really feel that you care in every answer you give on Podcasters Paradise. For instance, I know that you're there, and you really want to encourage people and to inspire them and to give your best every time. And I think this is amazing, and I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So sometimes we would like to be grateful, but it's not really that easy. What do you do when it's hard to be grateful?
I feel like this is such a great question, because no matter how positive we try to be or how much we practice gratitude, you will come up to those instances, situations. The important thing for me is to always, when I'm feeling like this is difficult to do, is to take a step back and really think about everything that I have. Again, the way that we started the interview, thinking about everything I have versus what I may not have. And it's so key to understand that we get to choose how we respond to everything that happens to us in our lives. So when we're having these negative feelings, it's amazing to understand that we get to change that. It's up to us to change that. Nobody else is going to do that for us. So I always try and remember that I'm in control of how I respond to situations. And when I empower myself in that way, given the choice, of course, I want to choose to be grateful and thankful for, even what might seem like a negative situation, because I know it's going to help me learn and grow.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And I think it's something really important for our listeners to understand from this is the fact that even if you get to a certain level, you still need to choose gratitude. Even um, sometimes people think that if you, I don't know, you get to have $1 million business, you don't have the you should never be unhappy, you should never have low points, and you should be grateful all the time. And I don't think it's that way. Maybe you can put it into words better than me.
More money, more problems.
Yeah.
It's so true. There's regardless of how the businesses that we've built, regardless of the life that we've created, regardless of all the things that we have or we don't have, the relationships, everything in our life is something that is different for everyone. And how you interact with the way that you're living your life and the things that you have versus the things that you don't have, this is always going to be different for everyone. So I've seen, people with big businesses who make a lot of money, and I've seen them be very humble and very grateful. And I've also seen them not be that way. I choose to focus on the way that I want to be and surrounding myself with like-minded people. So luckily, we've been able to connect with a lot of really amazing entrepreneurs and individuals who, share the same values and outlook that we do.
Yeah, I love this about you guys. Um, like I said in the beginning, I feel that you really care about people, and even if you have a big business, or at least from my point of view, you might not see it as like that. You still get to care about every single client that you have. It's not like, okay, we're at this level, and if we are here, we tend not to care so much, or to focus on other things. And I think this is really beautiful, and um, I really love it. And that's why I want you to speak to the gratitude seekers, and teach them from your experience, from what you already do beautifully. um,
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I put a lot into, and I do really care for every one of our prospective clients, our audience members, anybody that we come in touch with. If you think about how special that is, that somebody would take the time out to send you an email or to, comment on your post on Facebook or whatever it might be. I'm sure we're going to get into all of this, so I don't want to say anything too soon, but that's somebody taking time out of their day, and all we have is time for somebody else to spend that time to reach out and connect with me. I view that as, I don't take that for granted.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have an experience? Do you feel that you had the low point in your life when gratitude has helped you reach out of it?
Gosh, so many. Actually, recently we moved to Puerto Rico from San Diego. I grew up in San Diego, and my family's in San Diego, and a lot of my life has been, in San Diego. All of which, while living there, I learned a lot of the values that I carry today about gratefulness, and how that could change your outlook and the way that you live your life. And so it's kind of rooted there for me. When we moved to Puerto Rico, there was so much change very quickly that it was easy for frustrations and roadblocks, of which we face many of them, with transitioning to a new culture, a new way of living, new surroundings. We don't have, my family there, or all the friends and the relationships in the community that we built, that we had in San Diego. And, it's definitely been many times that those frustrations and me missing that has been a difficult transition. Gratefulness has definitely played a huge role in helping us make this transition, because I mean, if you looked out the window here and saw just like the natural beauty and everything that surrounds us, it's pretty impossible to not be grateful for everything that we have here, even though there's so much about San Diego that we miss. So that has definitely, helped me a lot in this transition, is being grateful and practicing that gratitude, being grateful that I have a family regardless of where they are, or, that we have the internet to be able to have conversations with friends. And just like we're doing right now, even though it's different, there's still so much to be grateful for about it.
That's amazing. Yeah. We tend to forget to take some things for granted, and when we make a life transition like this, we get to see all of the things that we could have been or we were grateful about. And it's great that you can take it with you. I have a saying that I really love. It's wherever you go, you take yourself with you. And the beautiful things that you've learned, you take them with you. Okay, you take the bad ones also, but you also take the good things. So this is great. So Kate, do you feel like gratitude has helped you in being successful?
Absolutely. I mean, if you take it back to what you were saying, Georgian, about the connections that we have with our audience and the connection that we're able to build one-on-one with, whether they're audience members or customers or members of Podcasters Paradise or people who we interview on the EO Fire podcast, individuals that we meet at events and stuff like this. I mean, there's just nothing better than that connection being like grown from a very authentic place, and being part of the EO Fire team and having this business behind us. I get a lot of communications from people, and I can tell that they're not authentic. I can tell that there's a motive behind that reach out that's not first and foremost to get to know me or have a relationship with me. And I think that strengthens my desire to not be that way and to continue to forge meaningful relationships. And I truly believe that so many of the relationships that we've been able to build with all the people that I just mentioned, whether it be our audience, customers, members, or peers and such that we meet at events and stuff, these relationships have really grown because they came from an authentic place, and because again we're surrounding ourselves with like-minded people who also practice gratitude. And when I was looking through some of the quotes before we did this interview, there's another quote that talked about thank you being the best language of gratitude that there is. And if you think, or if I think back to all the times that somebody that I had an email conversation with, or one of the guests on the show, just express their gratitude by saying, thank you for getting back to me. Thank you for having me on the podcast. It goes a long way. It really means a lot. And so that's definitely helped us build all of the relationships that we have today with all of these people. And it's because of those relationships that our business is where it is today.
Yeah, I love the fact that you choose to be a great example on this, and a positive example. And people follow people like you, and they usually take it all. Like if you have authenticity, they will take that in unconsciously. And it's like this with other people that are not very okay, but very authentic. And it's great that we have examples like you for people to follow. And I think this is beautiful.
Thank you.
So, Kate, if you could go back in time, like when you didn't feel so grateful about your life and you weren't a grateful person, what would you tell your younger self about gratitude?
The when I go back to that time, honestly, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was only before I took my entrepreneurial leap 6 years ago. I was, for all intensive purposes, a grown woman, and I wasn't practicing this. And I look back and I'm sad for myself. And what I would tell myself then, because the way that I was living then is, you know, I was playing life incredibly small. I was playing the victim role every single day, wondering why I didn't have this or that, or why I wasn't living my life like I wanted to. And I just felt like other people owed me all these things, just the opposite of a grateful lifestyle. And if I could go back and talk to myself at that point, I would say, look, you get to choose this. You get to create the life that you want to live. You don't need to wait for somebody else to give it to you, because guess what? Nobody else is ever going to give that to you. You have to go out and choose it, and you have to commit to it. So that's what I've been able to do over the past 5 years. And it's literally changed my entire life. And it was just because I didn't know, which is not an excuse, but I would tell myself that if I could go back and talk to my 5-6 year younger self.
This is great. This is great. And is there something that you do consistently that helps you to be more grateful, or to be grateful consistently?
I do keep a list of running quotes that, really inspire me and that help me get into that space if I'm ever feeling out of it. So I would say that the one thing I do consistently is just be very conscious of when I'm not in the space that I want to be in. And this is very hard to do, but if you practice recognizing when you're not being the way that you want to, it becomes easier and easier to not ever get into that space in the first place. And so after that experience that I just shared with you about how I was 5-6 years ago, I made the commitment and the conscious choice to start recognizing this. And ever since, that's been something that I very consistently do. And again, my times of slipping out of this space of gratefulness have become smaller and smaller and fewer. And so continuing to practice that, I believe, is what helps keep me in that space as long as possible.
Exactly. This is what I believe as well. And that's why I asked this question, because I want our listeners to choose to have this as a habit in order to have a wonderful life, whatever happens in the exterior somehow, because this is the most important thing, how we see things.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kate, do you want to mention a few people that you're grateful for in your life?
Oh my gosh, so many.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm very grateful for John Lee. He's really a mentor to me, my life partner, my business partner, my best friend. He's just so many things to me. And, being able to have someone to share your life with and your vision for life with is really, truly special. Of course, I'm so grateful for my parents, because they've, really been the ones to help encourage me and motivate me and help me believe in myself when I did not believe in myself. And, my sister, who is definitely like my best friend in the entire world. I love her so much, and she's always there for me. And I could go on and on. There's so many, our entire audience. I'm so grateful for everyone in our audience, and making connections with people like you, Georgian, and everyone in Podcasters Paradise, and hearing these amazing podcasts that, people like you are producing, that are spreading this amazing knowledge and information. And I'm grateful for a lot of people.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience and your knowledge with us. Um, where can people find you? Where can people see your work?
Well, everything that we do can be found over at eofire.com. So keep it super simple.
All right. And if they want to get in contact with you, they will find your contact information on eofire.com, right?
Yep. Or this is really easy to remember too. I love emails, which I know is a crazy thing for a business owner to say, but you can reach out to me, kate@eofire.com. I read and answer every email I get. So that's the best way to get in touch with me.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us your life and your perspective on life. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Georgian.